Israel has responded to international calls to allow more humanitarian aid into Gaza. The government has now approved the reopening of the Erez crossing into northern Gaza and the temporary use of Ashdod port in southern Israel. Aid agencies say that supplies which are getting through at present are not nearly enough.
Inside these boxes is medicine and supplies. Much needed aid at this hospital, which has become the most important in northern Gaza. After Al-Shifa Hospital stopped functioning, many patients arrived at Kamal Adwan Hospital, which is a small hospital, and we lack medicine and supplies. We called on international organizations, including the World Health Organization, and thank God, today we received some supplies. Aid has been trickling into Gaza. However, agencies say it's not enough to meet the needs of the population. Pressure has been growing on Israel to allow more humanitarian supplies into the enclave, which the Israeli government has approved. This decision comes in the wake of the killing of several aid workers in an Israeli strike earlier this week. But safety concerns remain an issue for agencies still operating in Gaza.
We don't have the necessary security guarantees to work here. The people also need to be safe. So for us to really be able to scale up, to avert famine so that people don't have to die because they don't have food, we need security guarantees for us as humanitarians, but also for the people we serve in Gaza.
Famine is edging closer in northern Gaza, where some 70% of the population is facing catastrophic hunger, according to the UN's World Food Programme. Oxfam says since January, Palestinians in northern Gaza have eaten an average of just 245 calories per day. That's less than a can of beans. When we were displaced at the beginning of the war, we used to eat rotten bread because of the high prices of food here. This is the only place where I can get food for my children. I have 3 boys and 1 girl. They need food. Where do I get them food? I couldn't afford to buy any food. Everything is so expensive and I have no money. This local kitchen is our safe place. We come here every day. A problem shared by many Gazans 6 months into the war and with no end in sight to their suffering.
Let's bring in Jonathan Fowler. He's a spokesman for UNRWA. That's the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees. He joins me from Cairo. Jonathan, more aid is expected to come into Gaza now. What difference does it make for the people on the ground?
This remains to be seen. I mean, we were not party to discussions about opening the new crossing. I should stress we've been advocating for this since the very beginning of the war. We need more crossings. That's absolutely essential. The current capacity at Rafah and at Kerem Shalom is insufficient. And in any case, the number of trucks that have been permitted to get through at those 2 crossings has been vastly under the number that's actually required. We need to get 500 trucks a day into the Gaza Strip of food and other kinds of aid just to meet the minimum survival requirements of the population. Now, on average, the existing 2 crossings over the beginning of this month, we've been seeing 169 trucks a day, which is barely better than the previous month. So 169 does not equal 500. We really have to hope that this new crossing enables the operation to be scaled up, but we have no idea what's going to be allowed through, or indeed which agencies are going to be able to take aid through this crossing. And we currently are not permitted to take aid at all to the north of the Gaza Strip.
Your organisation said before that Israel has been putting obstacles for aid to come into Gaza. Does reopening these routes mean these obstacles will be gone?
Again, I mean, we remains to be seen what will happen. But I mean, the obstacles at the border include inspections, operating hours, these kind of issues. You know, items that get placed on the banned list. We've not been able to take in certain kinds of medicine, anaesthetics, insulin pens for children, medical scissors, solar lamps, these kind of things. And so if cargoes had to be inspected and then items are placed on a banned list. That by definition slows things down. And then there are also difficulties of moving around within the Gaza Strip because of the difficulty of deconfliction, sadly illustrated by the death of our friends from World Central Kitchen. And sadly illustrated by the death of huge numbers of our own staff in the Gaza Strip. So again, opening a new crossing is important, but really is the opportunity to scale up what needs to be seized is the opportunity to scale up the operation to an acceptable level.
You mentioned the attack on the aid workers in Gaza. How has it affected the work of aid organizations such as yours on the ground?
Well, obviously, I mean, World Central Kitchen and other organisations have had to make the decision to halt operations, and that's meant that people that they were feeding will no longer get fed, and the clock is ticking ever faster to famine for over 1 million people, a man-made famine. But in terms of operations on the ground, this tragically is more of the same. We've been seeing this kind of pattern of refusals to be able to do missions. Notably, as I said, we have been banned from going to the north. We have faced severe restrictions on our ability to operate within the Gaza Strip, denial of permission to do assessment missions to even see where people are, what they might need, because you don't just go in with a truck of items that don't necessarily meet the need of the people that you're trying to help. So the operating environment, that really needs to be solved as well.
Jonathan Fowler there, spokesman for the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees. Thank you.